Alright, hopefully this works. Oh, crap. Yep. Alright. Looks like we're live. Successful? Yep, successful. Here we go. I just forgot to plug in the mic, so let people filter in while I do that. I don't know what happened last night. So we got to this screen right here, and then after 10, 15 seconds, everything was just shutting down. It said stream shut down. Unexpectedly, I guess Restream was having some problems. Last night. John, my boy, what's up? What is up? How we doing, everybody? How we doing? All right, let's convert now. And here we go. Here we go. No, don't quit, Chrome. We doing good. We're gonna break this down. We're gonna break this down like we always do. Just like how we always do. I like this. I like the system for the potential to surprise some folks. I don't like some things. I don't like the surface temperatures on this. But we'll dive into that. All right. So for those of you that weren't on the stream last night, we covered basically, we laid a lot of the groundwork for this system. And now we can kind of go over a lot of things I was talking about earlier today as well. And so what I've been watching is, remember, we have this big old upper level low out here in the Midwest, and what we're looking for is we're trying to elongate this. And I had a good analogy of how I was phrasing it earlier today, and that was how was I phrasing it? You know, we want to elongate this. We want to elongate this more, so we can allow more cold air to filter into the system. Because the more we tilt this system, the more we allow the surface low to become more vertical and right up the coast. But the more we elongate our upper level low, the more we can force our surface low to dive farther east sooner. So what we were looking for is the upper level low. Hopefully just dive a little bit more south and east. We were just hoping just a little bit. We didn't get that. In fact, a tad north. But what we've done and why we've gotten colder on a lot of these runs you see at the surface, they're accounting for probably the CAD a little bit more. Our high pressure cold air damming, they're probably starting to pick up on that a little bit more. But also the elongation of our upper level low here is allowing for our surface low to drive less vertical and a little bit more horizontal. Not exactly like that, but just for reference. And those are kind of the changes we've been seeing in some of the models. And remember, we were still looking at, we were not set in stone yesterday. We're still not set in stone today. We're still looking at those upper level profiles to see how exactly this was going to translate. And so that's pretty universal across a lot of the models. We'll see. We still have the Euro to come in tonight, but you can kind of see with the NAM, if we play back some of these runs, notice our upper level low. I guess NAM was pretty far north to begin with, so it had some room to come south. But notice, right, this was, I think like 4 or 5 runs ago. This is last night. If we play this out, notice we dropped this a little bit further south, but notice we elongated our upper level low more. Right, so this is what we're talking about, and this is how we're able to, filter in or I don't want to say filter, but lock more cold air into place out ahead of this event. And one of the other things I like about the setup, before we get into super specifics in terms of snowfall amounts and all that good stuff that we'll get into, but is look at no. I mean, yeah, it's less about 100 miles north or south. It's less about that, and it's more of, I think, um, how models are handling the event. Because I just keep coming back to this right here, our 850s, our 700s, our 850s. I mean, to take a look at our 850s here. I mean, we're cold. We are very cold, and take a look at our 700. 700s, super cold at 700, plenty of cold, from Hudson Valley, northern New Jersey, through almost all of New England. You know, plenty cold enough to snow. It's where we run into our problems here is at the surface in 925. And I guess we'll just look at they don't have 925s on Tibbets, but if you look at the surface, it's a little warm here at the surface for a lot of folks. It's picking up on, it's cold enough here in the Hudson Valley, but notice all these temps here across Connecticut River Valley, which is as expected. But it's this area right here that I'm surprised it is not pulling up temperatures. A little surprised, because I think it's possible. It's possible that we could get this much warm air to flood farther north. It's possible, but I mean, I look at the setup. We have our 1040 high. It's pretty displaced to the north, so we prefer it a little bit farther south. And if it were, then this would be a really big snowstorm for a lot more places closer to the coast. But we have a good block in place. Um, but we're still driving a lot of these. We have an easterly wind, and we're driving a lot of these. Looks like these we're driving from the easterly wind. We're driving a lot of those offshore temps onshore. And, it makes sense right on the coast. All these areas here, it makes perfect sense on why these areas would rain a little less, though, when we're talking this corridor right here. This central western Mass, northern and western Connecticut, and it doesn't make quite as much sense why we're getting as much rain as we are. And listen, this is a warm air advection event, so we are gonna pull warm air north here at the surface. It's not a question about staying snow the whole time. It's just when we get in, when it does snow, it's going to be a pretty wet snow too. You got to remember. So we are going to get rain, but we're under heavy rates, and we're cold, plenty cold, all the way down from 700 to 850, and almost to 925 on what the models are showing right now. Remember, CAD events are where models underdo temps at the surface, right? So a lot of times we look at CAD events, cold air damming events, where we have our high pressure, and the cold air filters in through the surface and into the lower levels of the atmosphere. It filters in all the way down. Especially, it filters well into valleys. We get this cold air from our high pressure to filter in and drop down through the lower levels of the atmosphere at the surface, and a lot of times we're colder at the surface than models anticipate, and it happens almost every single time with CAD events. And so if we're cold in the mid levels of our atmosphere, and even into the upper levels of low levels of the atmosphere, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, and we just need 925 down to the surface to be colder, who's to say that we can't get under heavy rates, dynamic cooling, and just a little bit of mismodeling, which we tend to see a lot from our guidance, and that's how we can get that front end thump of snow across northern New Jersey. I mean, I think northwest New Jersey, southern Hudson Valley, and extreme western Connecticut are going to make out pretty well regardless. But we're talking about much of western Connecticut, central northern Connecticut, into central and northern Mass, even parts of western Mass, into southern New Hampshire. So I think those are kind of the places I'm talking about where I think I'm not 100% bought into what models are suggesting in terms of warm air having no problems just being able to flood so far north. And again, it's not going to be a ridiculously how do I put this? It's not going to stack up ridiculously easy. It's not going to be that light, fluffy, no problem accumulating kind of snow. We'll take a look at 3K here, and we look at even into some of these interior areas, right? So we're going to have, this is why these not only elevated areas but interior areas are going to make out pretty well. We take a look at this sounding, right? We're cold all the way down, a little bit of mid-level warmth here, which is not unexpected when we have a strong F-gen band coming through, right? We have these strong mid-level dynamics. We have to force warm air into the mid-levels, and one side is going to be warm, and the other is going to be cold. So it's not unexpected, to get this tap close, but then pull back a little bit of dynamic cooling. But notice, right, we have strong forcing through the dendritic growth zone, which let me pinpoint this, right here. So just about where the model highlighted it. Yeah, we'll see. I feel like people will be surprised, potentially. It does concern me that every single model is showing that warm air at the surface really flooding pretty far north. But notice the adjustments we've had over the last day. It's been a little bit colder over the last day or so, and also just using forecasters' intuition instead of just relying on the guidance. But those surface temps still are going to be a lot for many people in the low to mid 30s, even if you are snowing. So it is going to be a little bit of a wetter snow, despite even when you're under those really heavy rates, you're going to accumulate pretty well, 2-3 inches per hour. Obviously, when you're under those very heavy rates, and you get a little bit of dynamic cooling, and also just good forcing and good dynamics in the atmosphere, you're going to be able to get those 2 to 3 inch per hour rates. But when you're in those moderate bands, those lighter to moderate bands, you're a little bit less dynamic cooling, a little bit less lift in the atmosphere, and combine that with 32 to 34, 35 degree surface temps, it's probably going to be hard to accumulate. That's something even the Kachera and 10-to-1 maps sometimes don't tend to pick up on pretty well. The Kachera will pick up on it much better than the 10-to-1 will, and sometimes it overdoes it and doesn't take into enough account for the dendritic growth zone and the lift we have there. So there's sometimes a little bit you have to take some soundings to figure out how models are how the Kachera method is handling some events. Because sometimes with Kachera, if it's really cold all the way through the atmosphere, but you look at the dendritic growth zone, it's not super saturated and there's not a lot of lift, then Kachera will potentially overdo some of those snow totals. So you have to take that into consideration as well. When we're talking about totals, and NAM did a little bit better. NAM 3K did, I think, at locking in some of the cold air. You can see you're locking it into northwestern Mass into the Berks, but I'm still. I really haven't looked at any of the snow maps on this event other than what people have posted on Twitter. I don't feel like I need when. I'll look at it when I'm making my snow for the purpose of me trying to figure out where they're showing the mix line, but then I'm also going to have to. Um, I may not be able to use that as too much gospel this time, or not gospel in general, but I may have to put even less weight on a lot of those snowfall maps, because if they're handling the surface temps and just the setup in general with the CAD, if they're not handling it great, then I may have to just go disregard the models completely and not hold a ton of weight. So that's why I think I want to wait. I am getting an oral procedure tomorrow in the morning. I am getting an oral surgery in the morning, so hopefully I'm not too out of it during the afternoon. My teeth will hurt a little bit, but other than that, I think I should be able to talk tomorrow night when we stream. But I'll have the snow map out sometime in the early afternoon, hopefully. It will be as the event is starting across northeastern Pennsylvania, and northeast PA is in my snow map, so I will. Sorry for my PA folks, but I'm sorry. I want to see some I still want to see some observations. Most events I would put the snowfall map out tonight. Is when I would do it. That's when I would put the snowfall map out. With the timing we have with this event. But I would like to see a few more obs just to confirm, because if I am going to be as aggressive as I am with my ideas on how the cold air is going to work, and aggressive relative to how the models are handling. Nothing's really aggressive until it happens. That's how I kind of look like to it. I don't know how you can judge a forecast. That's not just there's forecast that actually has logic and reason. I don't know how you can judge it when it hasn't happened yet. But because I stream, I tweet out all my thoughts basically on the event, all my thoughts that are relevant and that you guys will care about, that I care about first, but you guys also happen to care about as well. So I'm tweeting out and streaming. All my thoughts basically. So there's not really it's not like you can't understand what I'm talking about when I make my snowfall maps. I even make snowfall maps on stream and explain what I'm saying. I did that with the first storm of the year. So, there's part of it. I would like. There's some part of me that has to do a forecast and not just. And we'll go over totals in a second. Even though I said I'm making my snowfall map tomorrow, but we'll go over some totals in a second too. But part of me wants to make the snowfall map right now. I would love to, but if I'm gonna make, if I'm gonna go with my forecaster's intuition here, I just want a little bit more data, real time data, not model forecast data, before I go all in. I'm not saying I'm gonna put like 12 to 18 inches across 495 I-84. That's not what I'm saying, but I just give it a little bit more time, just a little bit more time. But right now, I think. You got to remember, we have a lot of precip. 2-3 inches of precipitation potentially. We're gonna have a lot of precip. 8 to 10 inches is an aggressive. Oh crap! I forgot about my YouTube folks. What's going on YouTube? What part of Mass am I in? I'm in Central Mass. Why is upper air so cold? but surface warm. Because we're with warm air advection events, we're pulling in moisture. Uh, we're pulling in warmth off the ocean. We're pulling that up, and then we're pulling it also off the ocean as well. So that's why we're pretty warm here at the surface. And a lot of these interior locations in here are a little bit farther away from the ocean, and also relative to where the surface low is too. But a typical surface low track. I was bringing this up. You just think about it from a. I get it. Warm air advection pulling up. We're pulling up warm air. We're drawing in warm air, but you also got to consider. What was I looking for? Here we go. I mean, if we have a 996, like 100 miles south of Long Island. You're seriously gonna tell me? I mean, let's go even further back. You're gonna tell me we have was that 9? What is that? I can't see. I'll turn up the brightness a little bit. It's red on red. Whatever. 9. No way, we're not 991. Sorry, Nam, you're going crazy. Seems like it's latching on. It's not a 991. Nam doing some weird stuff. We'll go with the 996. You tell me we have a 996, like 150 miles south of Long Island. We have a 1040 high to the north of Maine. I mean, and we have an east-northeast wind. I'm sorry, but I find it hard to believe that we're not going to snow. Just looking at this from a pure meteorological perspective, not looking at what all the models say this event. Just looking at the setup raw, at what it is, I find it hard to believe that we're not snowing all the way up through here. I mean, I can draw this. I mean, all the way through here, basically. This should be all snow. We should easily be all snow, and technically even further south. I mean, we should be all snow. All snow. I mean, we have pretty strong some surface winds and low level jet that is going to help funnel that warm air inland. That's true, but I mean, I don't know. I'm going back and forth. That's why I want to see observations. I want to see more observations. We can look at some observations now. I keep toying with you people with snowfall thoughts, because I keep going back and forth here. I'm torn. I'm quite torn. All right. We'll go national. Yeah, I think I'm not gonna go with high, as some of the models are saying. For some of for elevated areas, I might. But for we're talking, if you're not like above 2,000, 2,500 feet. I mean, in general, they're just colder. But especially with this event, when you're outside of the heavy rates, it's not about you'll probably still say snow, especially for folks 1,000 feet and above. You'll probably still say mainly snow. For Western Connecticut, Central Western Mass, you'll probably still stay snow. But we talked about this earlier. How saturated will the column be? How saturated will the dendritic growth zone be? How much lift will you have in the atmosphere? There's just all when you're not in those super heavy rates, and even then, it'll still be a little bit of a wet snow. But in those heavy rates, in those heavy bands, probably 1 to 3 inch per hour rates for the Catskills and Northeast PA, maybe even northwest New Jersey, far northwest New Jersey, northwest Connecticut, northern Massachusetts. All those good places. All right, so did we get? Looks like we have our 12 o'clock data in. So there's our 1028. No, we gotta get closer. So, and then the NAM just has just all over the place. This is much more easier. 3K gets so specific; it's almost too specific for certain parameters I'm looking at. Let's see, 12. I saw that. I saw for some reason I still had one of the tabs open of the snowfall, the NWS snowfall total maps. And I saw like 47 inches in Alta, Utah. Let's see. Let's take a look at some obs here. So 1028. I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like what we're doing with obs here. We're pulling, right? We're still just as far. We've dropped this 1028 line just as far as it is from the NAM. But, this part of our 1028 line all the way down to the New York State line as well. So I like that. I like that for sure. Okay. See, notice here we dropped this 1028 line all the way down to the state line here. We're on the NAM. We're like down to here. So we're talking about minor differences. It doesn't look like a lot when we're looking at the national scale. But remember, if I draw this same line, if we saw that big of a difference in a rain snow line, the total of this, that's the state of Massachusetts right there from north to south. So remember, we're talking about a big difference. And again, that's not verbatim, doesn't directly translate. That's not verbatim. But the point is, these small little differences we like to look at and see how models are handling them. Let's take a look at, actually, let me see the 1030 line. I think we're doing well with the 1030 line as well. Or are we? All right, 1030. It's a little bit harder to now. Doesn't look like we're all that different at 1030, but 1028 line, a little bit farther south, so it's positive. Let's look at I don't know. GFS is going to be an hour off, so, but you can see here's our 1028 line. I mean, what, an hour off? This is a big difference here on the GFS. 1020. This is the 1026 line on the GFS. This is where the 1028 line is right now on observations. So I mean, in an hour, it's not going to be that big of a difference. We're not going to see some ridiculous difference. I mean, I can prove that to you. Take a look here at the NAM. I guess a little bit, but we're dropping the 1028 further south. So I mean, we're an hour ahead. I had to double check. Right, we're an hour. GFS is an hour and ahead, and it has the 1028 line like right here. I mean, that's a pretty sizable difference. So GFS is one of our colder solutions and still underdoing the CAD signature a little bit, which is that's a positive right there. And because remember, I'm going to keep focusing on the high pressure in our CAD cold air damming. I'm going to keep focusing on that because that's really key. Because this is not like a sleet line that we're worrying about. That's like for central and northeastern Pennsylvania up into southern upstate New York. That sleet, freezing rain will play more of a factor. But when we're talking about Hudson Valley, Western Mass, Central Mass, Western Central Connecticut, Northern New Jersey, we're more talking about rain and snow, and not snow versus sleet and freezing rain, because we're not talking about warm air as a loft. We're talking about warm air at the surface. So if we lock in our cold air and we can keep more cold air in place out ahead than what's being modeled, ideally that's what we're trying to get in order to get higher snowfall. That is how we can get into some of those, just get into the snowfall in general and get into potentially some decent totals if we're lucky. But let's take a look. We just did the GFS. Will it give us euro? I mean, euro is an hour. I mean, still. Euro is an hour ahead right now. We take a look. Nope. That's last night's euro. Euro has the 1028 line right here. Again, it doesn't look like a lot but I'm looking at the national sector right now, so I can see more Canada. That's why I'm not super zoomed in right now, because I want to see all of Canada. I don't want to be cut off here. But if I do that right here, if that's the difference we're talking about, remember, these are differences, sizable differences. So small things, little details when looking at OBS. And again, none of this is groundbreaking because it's exactly what you expect. It's exactly what I'm expecting when we're looking at CAD events. Just models notoriously underdo them. They struggle with picking up on cold air damming. It's a bias that's inherently present in all the models. One day, hopefully, they will fix it. It's hard to explain exactly why they continue to do. I don't do a ton of research, but it's just a common thing that most weather enthusiasts know at this point. All right. Actually, we'll look at RGEM and then give you the goods, which is, you all want to know my snowfall total thoughts for everywhere. And people can play this back too in the morning while I'm getting my surgery. No, we don't need to go that far. Right here, 12. RGM, not doing bad. Not doing bad. But still, this is more right here. So there is still not perfect by the RGM. So, but also we look at, it has a 996. The other one last thing when we're looking at observations, 998 low here is our surface low according to the Storm Prediction Center, and RGEM picking up on a 996. So that's another difference too. The weaker our low pressure is, the harder it is to be able to jam this low pressure into our high pressure. So the weaker our low pressure is, it's not going to be able to have as much influence and impact on driving up into this high pressure. So that'll be another thing to watch too. So, we're not going to pull in, and what we're also not going to do with a weaker cyclone, we're not going to be able to pull in as much warm air at the surface, and we're going to be able to pull in less warm air into the system. And so that's going to allow cold air to win out as well. So there's a couple different factors there. Yes, the QPF will be just a little bit less if true, but not drastic enough for people to go from like 20 inches of snow to only 10 inches of snow. It wouldn't be that drastic. So those are a couple positives. We'll see. This will be much faster. Just want to see what Euro has. Yeah, 993 on the Euro for an hour from now. So Euro potentially, let's say 997 an hour from now, 4 millibars off on the strength of this. Let's take a look at the GFS. GFS right on point, 996. And GFS is right, our colder solution. It's not a shocker, right? 996 is low pressure. GFS right on point. Right on point with the low pressure. Even if it's or is it 2 millibars, potentially a millibar stronger? Sorry, I thought it was 996 right now. I forgot it's not. GFS 3 millibars stronger though for an hour from now. Oh, this is also 1 a.m. So this is, let's say it's 997. GFS will be maybe a millibar off for next hour. GFS, right? It's one of our colder solutions, and the GFS is a global model, not a high-res model whatsoever. Very low res global model. Very low res compared to high res models like the Euro or the NAM or RGM, so to say. So interesting. GFS underdoing the CAD signature a little bit. One of our colder solutions, but is almost on point with the low pressure. So I don't know. I think there's some positives here we're looking at for sure. Canadian, it's not even worth it. Canadian's in a world of its own right now. Not this event. Sorry, Canadian. Can't really hold any weight for you this time. Canadians give and go, or give or take, I guess would have been. Canadian's going to do better in the long range. The shorter range of the Canadian is just awful. That's why we use the RGM and high res RGM more, because it's the same, just the high res version of the global model. So why would we use the low res model? We can use the high res to pick up on the better features. And even then, you can't always rely on these two models right here. But let's take a look at what did NAM have. 996, so not bad, right? NAM is, I'd say NAM is closer to the GFS than it is the Euro. 997 for right now, so it's a millibar, 1 millibar too strong at the moment. So nothing groundbreaking there. But remember, the reason we're looking at this is, right, the stronger low pressure is, the more moisture we're going to pull in from the Gulf of Mexico and off the Atlantic. The stronger low pressure is, right, and we're going to get a transfer to occur here too. So we play this out, right? We're going to get a transfer to occur here, and that's the main story. But the weaker our system is, just in general, the less warm air we're going to pull. And right, we're warm air at the surface. And right now, it's just surface temps. It's not mid-level temps. We're not asking for anything crazy to happen at the mid-levels or the low, or the upper levels of our lower levels of the atmosphere. So, and we don't really need changes at all, honestly, in the mid-levels right now. So it's from 925 to surface is our only question mark right now with this system, and trying to figure out exactly how this plays out. For we're locked in. These places, I think. I don't want to go. I would say we're locked in. I mean, we're locked in for these places for 10 to 20 plus inches of snow. We're locked in. The question is these areas right here. You know, Rockland, Putnam. Why can't I remember the county? Oh my God, I hate myself right now. I studied all these counties, these New York State counties. I can't remember. I'm gonna pay myself if I don't get this. I'm gonna have to search this up. God damn it. Westchester. Oh my God. I can't tell you how many times I looked at that too. Westchester. No, it wasn't Dutchess. It wasn't Dutchess. When we're looking at Putnam, Rockland, Dutchess counties, more northern, or not Dutchess. I just said Westchester, northern Westchester County. Northern Rockland, Putnam. Those question marks. Going up through central Connecticut and then up through central Mass. I think those are the question marks right now. Can we get 3 to 6, 4 to 8 inches in some of these places? Probably not getting along the border of this eastern part of the line I drew right here. That's not verbatim, but probably not talking about half foot potential across these areas, but in here, absolutely. What we could be talking about a half foot plus snow. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have losing my voice a little bit. I think I'm going to have a 2 to 5 is what I'm going to go with. I want to do a 2 to 6, but it's a little big of a range. I think I'm going to do a 2 to 5 for the valley. And like in here, I think that's going to be a 2 to 5, and then I'll probably have like a 5 to 10, and then we'll go to it'll be coding, probably like coding to 2 to 5, 4 to 8, 5 to 10, a 10 to 18, and then like a 16. I'm probably a 16 to 22 plus, or 16 to 24, something like that. That's probably some of the numbers I'll come up with. I obviously remember the best chance, for 10 to 20 plus inches of snow, I would say, is, why am I so far zoomed out? Say this is probably your best bet for double-digit snowfall. Any of these locations here is probably your best bet. I would say, you'll probably get some orographic lift up here in southern Vermont too. You'll get some sort of special there, probably in the Green Mountains in Vermont. Ski resorts are going to make out well for sure. If ski season didn't officially start already, it's definitely going to officially start. Like unofficially, officially, based on what winter is doing, not the ski powders. Definitely, it's going to be packed this weekend. Those ski resorts, Catskills, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. They'll be packed. Maybe even Wachusett. Wachusett could be a could probably will get some good snow this event too. So um, it's a little the temperature, the surface temperatures are just is the difference here. I think 2020. I don't think it's going to be like 2020. I don't think we're going to get that kind of band to set up. And I know what you mean by like 2020 with the warm air advection event, but I don't think we're going to be able to pull off because the cold air we had in place at the surface was the key. That was the key. So that there's the main the big difference right there. But maybe some I don't I don't I don't know. You never want to put a ceiling on big events like this, but I guess you couldn't rule out some 24 to 30s maybe, in a couple of some real isolated locations. But it wouldn't also shock me if nobody sees more than like 20 22 inches of snow because of how wet the snow is going to be. So yeah, we don't have that. We don't have that CSI band that's just gonna camp out. Um, it's not going to be that kind of event. Um, Man, I haven't even looked at the UCommand this whole event, but we'll take a look at the high res RGM. I don't get 500. I don't get 500. What am I thinking for Rockland? Ooh. I've been going back and forth. I've been going back and forth. I want to. I think what I might do is the northwestern part of Rockland. I might do or close. I don't know, I'll have at least part of Rockland in the 2 to 5. I'll have part of Rockland in the 2 to 5. It'll be close. It will be very close. Elevation will be key. It will not be the main driver of this event for whether or not you see snow, but it will be important. It will be important for sure. I mean, as it always is. But I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt Rockland stays all snow. See, and here's also another thing. We have dynamic cooling. It's just remember, it's just surface temperatures here for these spots. It's just surface temperatures that are too warm. And if we're under modeling the CAD and we're a little weaker with the low pressure, we're not pumping in as much warm air at the surface, we can just get dynamic cooling the wind out. It will be really wet snow, but it will be thumping probably get some half inch per hour rates potentially, with some heavy wet snow. So and you could get that to last in some of those areas. Then that's how you could pull out like a 3 to 6. That's how you can pull it out and then transition over. And also I should mention, the last part of the event, we're gonna switch back over here. We're gonna switch. GFS shows this a little bit better. We're gonna switch back over. We're not gonna get the same dynamics. Take a sounding here. Not gonna get the same dynamics. We'll be still a little warm at the surface. You can notice we're not super saturated through the dendritic growth zone, so we're not gonna get good snowflake production here. We don't have a ton of lift. I think there'll be a little bit. Let's see. Let's take a look at 700. Still some energy. I would say right here in this frame. Somewhere here maybe. Yeah. That could do it just a little bit. Maybe we can get a little bit more lift here in the atmosphere. I don't know. Who knows? I may have picked the wrong spot. John, have a good night, my man. Good luck with your finals. Let's take a look. Okay, that could do it. We're pretty. Let's see, plenty cold all the way through the atmosphere from the surface. Let's see. There we go. I mean, all the way down to 750 here. From 550 to 750 is our dendritic growth zone. Well saturated, decent. GFS isn't exactly the model you want to be polling with 6-hour intervals for soundings, but yeah, this is how you could get some back end snow for sure. So I would go back. So some of the models have been suggesting this. It bugs me that I have to go to Pivotal to take soundings of the NAM. I don't know why you can't. You can take soundings of the 3K, but you can't take soundings of the 12K. It pisses me off. Oh, this is not even the right freaking model run. Notice it seems like too with the weaker. It looks like elongating our system is where we're. Let's back this up. Another part of the system which can help increase the duration is now with elongating the system, right? Some of it, we're splitting our pieces. Now we want to go back a little bit farther. Right, we're splitting these. Right, we're splitting these two. Not verbatim splitting, but we're splitting up these two. So what happens is, right, this waits to come in, and this comes in on the backside, and there's more time now for this to come through. So it's going to come in on the backside and basically pump in more energy into our system, more vorticity technically. But notice, right, get our almost a new upper level low that looks like it's getting ready to close off, right? But we're getting more energy to swing around the upper level low, and that's going to help, keep the system going basically on the backside, right? Our new upper level low is starting to form. This really just doesn't give up though, so it's going to take a while. But that's why Maine could potentially get in. Maine could be the jackpot if this second part of the system plays out. If this part 2 of the system plays out, then Maine could be the sweet spot. I've been keeping my eye on this part. This could be the key, and this could also help folks that maybe rained the whole time or a lot of the time. This could help keep folks that were rain for most of the event flip back to snow, maybe pick up another, coating to 1 to 3 inches. And then that's one way you can get in the snow. Or maybe people that saw front end thump, got like 3 to 2 to 5 inches, 2 to 4, 3 to 6, whatever. Got a little front end thump, and then you add on another 1 to 3 on the backside. That could help too. Yeah, upslope too. When we get more vorticity that still has to swing through, and we still have a little bit of moisture left, right? We can have the mountains create some lift. In order for me to draw an arrow, I have to go past the mountains, but we can create some little orographic lift in the atmosphere. Combined with the dynamics, we still have more vorticity that's pushing through, and just a little bit of moisture you need for that too, because the higher elevation, and that's how elevated places can get get some get some extra action with some of these events. But right, so when then we click on some soundings, take a look here, right? Notice NAM picking up on this, right? Let's take a look. Yeah, yeah. I mean, top of the dendritic growth zone is not super saturated, but by the time we get to the bottom part of it, where I mean if we're working our dendritic growth zone from about five, looks like 550, 570. Well saturated at these at the bottom well saturated at the bottom of the dendritic growth zone, the DGZ as we call it. Not we, but it's just what it's called. Yeah, so you got to deal with it. That's just how it's phrased. But a little bit of lift too in the atmosphere you can see at the bottom of the dendritic growth zone at the DGZ. A little bit of omega, so we have some forcing um, popping up as well. So this, and where were we, 32 degrees as well out here in central Mass. That could get the job done. Take a look at elevation. Yeah, I mean, we could use a little bit more lift, but models can sometimes struggle to pick up on that. But pretty well saturated, um, actually very well saturated, to be honest. Yeah, I'm liking some of these soundings here. It's only one model, but and then Maine's gonna thump too, I think. Yeah, Maine. That is a good sounding right there for moderate to heavy snow. That'll get the job done. Let's see, we'll take a look at one frame. Yeah, I mean, Maine could really thump. I mean, Maine could thump all the way down to the coast. Maine could thump. Yeah, that's a good sounding. I mean, look how cold you are too. You're at -10 at around 700. Yeah, that's a good snow. A little warmer here at around our 850s, but still plenty cold enough, especially under heavier rates. Not a problem. Does that say a 31, 32? Oh, yeah, okay. I thought it would meant 31 temp, 32 wet bulb. I was like, geez. See, anything left? Eh, not in the upper levels, but still well saturated at the lower level, so you can still get some flakes, probably just not. Won't be seeing a lot of accumulation at that point. Probably some mood flakes Saturday morning. And then look at Maine pop off here. Oh boy. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. I'm telling you, Maine. If the second part of this system comes through, don't be surprised if Maine jackpots. Maine could jackpot easily if the second part of this system rolls through like it could. And then again, this is not just one model. I mean, GFS 2 is picking up on it. Super well saturated. Let's see, that's not bad either. Probably not accumulating a lot, but those are definitely snow soundings. Well, we can take a look here. Yeah. Could get some upslope, a little bit of lift too, towards the bottom of the dendritic growth zone. More 3K. 3K also has the low maybe a little bit farther west. Maine could be the winner of this event. They really could. Maine could really be. I mean, Zach, they could be the winner of this event. Wouldn't shock me. They're gonna get in some really good banding, some really good because they could get into the first part of that initial FGen band, and then they could get into the next band that comes through with the second part of the system. I mean, when they might just in some places could pivot around the next band that comes through. So I'm curious. You know, it may I might have to look into making, you know, like a good 16 to 24 in Maine too. We can take a look. I haven't looked at any of these snowfall maps really. I mean, it's not done printing out yet. Oh boy, we got there 46 inches. Yeah, take a look at Maine. I mean, I think this is where Kuchera, I would consider bumping some of these totals a little bit more into here because of the lift we just saw in the forcing we just saw in the atmosphere. You can clearly see you can get some really heavy snowfall rates. It doesn't. It's a temperature profile. It doesn't account for omega, and it doesn't account for the forcing and dynamics you get to help contribute. That's why a lot of the snowfall totals were off in the December 2020 event specifically. What is that? Yeah, good 20 piece on the NAM, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I might do all of Rockland, honestly, 2 to 5. And then Northern Westchester 2 to 5. Probably through Central Putnam. We'll see. Oh man, I'm gonna have to get up early tomorrow. Man. Mouth surgeries are not fun, man. Not fun. A little 30 piece. 35 piece from the NAN there. Look at the Catskills too. Having some fun. Some 40 pieces. Woo! Yeah, baby. Just for giggles. Hero's about to run, but we're not gonna stay up for that. All right. We got any last questions? We got any last questions, people? Before I get out of here, any last questions? YouTube, Twitter. YouTube's been quiet tonight, but I also came in late, so for YouTube chat. Oh, the YouTube chat is present. I guess it just wasn't updating. Double barrel. Is this a double barrel low? Not quite. It's not quite a double barrel low. I think some of it is just model noise, to be honest. It is a pretty elongated, so it will be kind of double barrelish, but not a full on double barrel low, I think. I think it'll just be more of an elongated low pressure system. Oh, I'm not worried about the surgery. Having a night, Zach. I'm not worried about the surgery. Man, not gonna be fun because I can't eat. Early 23rd, 24th thoughts. Uh, but you don't have to not go to the store because of my stream, dude. You live your life. Um, 23rd, 24th. I do like that time frame. I very much do like that time frame. I think that will be something to watch. I think that will definitely be something to watch, right? We get a big, strong northern vort that pumps in. Um, we get a little bit of a southern vort, but not a lot. And this is mostly just it's basically it's almost a Miller A. I mean, we're pulling in a little bit, but the phase. I mean, it's a phase almost happening just because of the vorticity spit out itself, and then basically it's just consolidating its own that it spit out. So it's not really quite a two-piece phase here, but that'll be something to watch. That'll be something to watch down the road, and this could get more people involved than just the interior as well. This is the kind of event that could get all these people involved here. I mean, we can get all these people involved here on this kind of event for sure. If it goes right, this is how we can get I-95's first big snowstorm of the year. That's how we can get them involved. But it is a little bit down the road, so you don't want to look too far into it. But there is some consistency here in the models. The Canadian showing a big old storm too. I mean, that is, oh boy, that's juicy. That is juicy. Are you kidding? Oh boy, I'm sorry. Don't hate me. Oh, I'm sorry. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Let it happen. Let it happen. Oh man, yeah, I'll take that. I will take that. I will sacrifice this storm to get that right there. I won't ask for another 2-footer for the rest of the winter. I won't ask for. I don't need it. Actually, we're gonna tweet that out. Oh man, what I would do to get that right there. Oh boy. Yep, I'll take it. Right, and just if we're just looking at it in general, cold air is not going to be a problem with this one too. This one will just be follow the upper level low. I mean, I can already tell you we're 8 days out, and whatever happens with this, it's going to be follow the upper level low. That's what it's going to be. That will be the story. But I mean, you get an upper low to track right over Eastern Cape Cod and Nantucket. I mean, that you can't ask. If you live in southern New England, New York City, even into the Hudson Valley, you can't ask for a better track. You can't. I mean, the way this happens too, right? Because look at the dip, and it's a little bit of a broad trough too. It's a relatively broad trough, not a super sharp, a super sharp trough. So what happens is, and this is across all the model guidance. So it's a pretty elongated trough. So this is going to be able to get mid-Atlantic people involved as well at first, and then slide up the coast, and then And then if it does, we see a full-time phase happen in the Gulf of Maine and we get exactly what we want, then bands are just going to pivot. But that's about as much over-analysis as you can possibly do on an event like 8 days out. I mean, right? GFS has it too. Look at it. I mean, for 8 days out, this is fantastic model agreement. It's fantastic, right? Don't focus on the surface maps. Just this is really good model agreement for 8-9 days out. And we look at the euro too. I mean, euro is picking up on this too, right? I mean, that's too far out, right? And now add on 12 hours or take away 12 hours. So that's 192 hours out, 198 hours out, right? I mean, across the board, I mean, that's pretty good agreement right there for 9 days out. that is definitely something I would I would think we're gonna have to keep an eye on. So yeah, it looks like this could be the next one after this. By the time we're done with this event, so when we get to Saturday, we'll add on 48 more hours. So we'll get ourselves into the 6-day range, 5-day range almost, right? So it's not 48 hours. I mean, it's about 60 hours. So take away 60 hours, 130. We'll get into the 5-6 day range by the time we get to Saturday. So then we can start tracking if it's still present. But boy, the things I would do for that. Double contour, closed off, 500 low, probably stacked 700, stacked 850, stacked surface. I mean, you can ask. That's a beautiful, we'll call it fantasy run for now. Fantasy run on a system that's potentially not a fantasy. That's a good way of putting it. You want to look at the snowfall map for giggles? There you go. Make all y'all happy. Nice old 2 feet. But yeah, that's all I got. I appreciate everyone that came in. Maybe another stream tomorrow night during the event. We'll see. Snowfall map will be out tomorrow afternoon. Like I said, I want to see those observations, those morning observations first, and then we'll go from there. All right.